everybody. Good morning. Thank you for jumping on with me, and we're going to get started here in just a minute. We've got a lot of you guys in the chat. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Ashley. Hi, that girl. I see a lot of you guys were sharing your personal stories while you were waiting for this live to get started, which is just makes this so much more obviously clear that this is something that needs to be talked about more. Hi, the Cole family. Hi, Michelle Flores. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Twisted Tea. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Virgin. Hi, Stitchy. Hi, Toria. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Susie. Hi, Raina. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Shelly. We got a lot of you guys in here today. Thank you again so much for joining. So just to give you guys a little bit of a recap and a little bit of information as to why I'm doing this live this morning, because I know it's a little bit outside of the box from the typical true crime stuff that we talk about together. Yesterday, and you may have seen my video, a good friend of ours was missing. She has recently been suffering from postpartum psychosis, which is a different version of postpartum depression, a more severe version. And thank you, Stitchy. Yes, I'm going to email him after this to talk about all of that with the Orwin and Orson. Yes, I will. So she's been struggling with postpartum psychosis, and without giving away too much detail into her personal life, her newest daughter, who's just a couple months old, has had a really hard time gaining weight and feeding. And our friend Kara has really taken on the burden of guilt for this, thinking that it's her fault somehow. And this, again, just is one of these many symptoms and things that happen when you are going through either postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis. You're not seeing things clearly. You're not seeing things for how they actually are. And she went into a treatment center and fled shortly after, and we were all searching for her yesterday. She had been missing for 24 hours at that point. She left everything behind, including a note, which of course was extremely alarming because we were concerned she was going to hurt herself, also given the recent search history on her phone that was discovered after she had left it behind. Luckily, she was found last night. She, as the group was reconvening, figuring out what the strategy is for today to continue the search, she called her husband, Dane, and he jumped up from the table and ran and got her. I don't know further details, and I'm not even trying to get further details, because all that matters is she is safe with her family now and hopefully getting the help that she needs. I want to thank you guys first and foremost so much for all of your help yesterday. I mean, seeing the community come together and share this and share the flyer and help with this, it was truly unbelievable. And even when we were passing out flyers down by the pier and canvassing everywhere we could in, that 5-mile radius, we would come across so many people who said, I saw this on social media already. I'm aware, we're helping, we're looking. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And it just also shows the power of social media. And when people do something as simple as share a post, like how far and wide that goes. And so I want to thank you guys for that. And for everybody who put me in contact with the Aware Foundation, with different news stations, just really doing everything you could while we were searching to help us near and far. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy that she has been found and is with her family. Something throughout the day and last night when I posted the update that she was found that I found alarming and interesting was the amount of messages that I was receiving and comments that were on the video and on the post discussing that so many of you have gone through similar situations. And I've never been very quiet about what I struggled with personally, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute here. And I remember when I first started opening up about that, I received the same feedback. A lot of people saying, I wish people talked about this more. I went through the same thing. And I remember thinking to myself, so many people are going through this. Why is nobody talking about it? And Why is there such a stigma attached to it to where you feel guilty and you feel shame for talking about it if you're experiencing it, or if you're not even experiencing it, if you're afraid that you're going to experience it when you have a child? And yesterday was just a reminder of that it's so common, and there should be absolutely no guilt, no shame. The sooner we talk about it and the sooner people feel more comfortable talking about it, hopefully we won't get into situations similar like to yesterday, or far worse when it's too late to intervene and to help these people. So there's a lot of things that I want to kind of go through today. And as I mentioned, I'm going to share my story, and I've talked a little bit about it in the past, just, that I had suffered from postpartum depression, but I haven't gone into much detail about it. And I'm going to give you guys a lot of the detail today because I feel like it's not going to be easy. I'm going to do my best to get through it, and it's ugly, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of judgment out there as well with it. But you know what? I feel like if being transparent and sharing exactly what I was thinking, exactly what I was feeling, if doing that so that another new mom comes across this video or hears this story, if it somehow helps her and realizes that she's not alone and that, oh my God, I'm feeling these same things too, I'm hopeful that it'll help. So we're going to lay it all out today. I want to start with some statistics and some really important pieces of information behind postpartum depression. So starting with postpartum depression, it's in the CDC in recent reports say that 1 in 7 women get postpartum depression, and that accounts for around 600,000 women a year. That's not including any women who experience stillbirths or miscarriages. Rolling that number into it, that number increases to 900,000 a year. That is a lot. And what's even more frightening about this report is based only on self-reported cases. And they estimate it to be at least double this amount in reality, because so many people who experience this and go through it are too ashamed or embarrassed to talk about it. And so they don't even have the accurate numbers as to how common it is, but they estimate that it's at least double this. That would mean 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 women goes through postpartum depression. And that is a very real thing, because it can lead to not only the incredible sadness and detachment that you're feeling, but it can lead to things that are so much more severe. Taking it one step further to postpartum psychosis, and this is what we talked about with our friend Kara yesterday and what she's experiencing. This is a more severe postpartum version of postpartum depression. And I don't want to get extremely clinical or pretend that I'm a doctor, because I certainly am not. But postpartum psychosis is said to affect 1 in every 1,000 women. And again, they estimate that this number is double, which would be 1 in every 500 women. And this is, like I said, more severe. This is when you believe in it, something else is really happening around you. Not that you're seeing things or anything like that, but that the reality you're actually in, you believe to be much different. You believe things to be much worse. And it's just a severe toll on you mentally. And this often leads to horrible, tragic outcomes. As I mentioned, experts believe all of this can be double. And with that, and I want to just stay on postpartum psychosis really quick. Thank you, Erica, for the super chat. I appreciate it. It's estimated that 10% of women who go through postpartum psychosis result in either suicide or infanticide. And I'm sure many of you have seen reports on the news when, women are struggling with this and they take their own life or they take the life of their child because they're not there mentally. And it's estimated that 10% of these women who go through this, that is the end result. And that is just heartbreaking. There's reports that say if you have ever experienced depression or bipolar disorder, that you're 40% more likely to develop postpartum depression, develop postpartum psychosis. And so if you do fall within that bucket, I encourage you to just be aware and speak with your doctor even while you're pregnant before something happens before you do develop this I don't know, disorder, I don't know what to call it, syndrome, whatever, whatever. With that, it's not just the women who suffer. And I thought this was really interesting because something my husband and I talk a lot about when we talk about this topic is he's very passionate about it as well. And he always says, and nobody talks about the men and what they go through. And I remember when he first told me that, I'll be honest, I kind of said, like, bullshit. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, what do you mean how it's affecting you? Like, we're the ones going through this. But as I researched more about it and talked with him more about it, it's real. And statistics show that 50% of men who have a partner that experience postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis go through depression themselves and develop it themselves. And that not only is alarming because you, of course, don't want your partner to ever be experiencing those feelings as well, but if you're both in bad condition and you both are scared to talk about it, you're clear, the baby, your child doesn't have both of its parents in the best capacity in that moment. And so it's just, again, it's critical that we keep talking about it and try to get rid of the stigma that's attached to it, because it doesn't happen to only women. And it's horrible. It's horrible. With that, and why I'm encouraging everybody to talk about it more and share their stories more is because there's an 80% success rate with kicking postpartum depression once you seek treatment. And I myself will tell you that when I sought treatment, I felt better in 2 weeks. And I wish that I hadn't suffered for those several months. And I wish that I had done something sooner. And it wasn't even as though I didn't do something sooner because I felt guilty or shameful. It's because I really didn't even know that something was wrong. I thought that it was just me. And that's why I also feel it's so important to share this story, because there's so many people who may be feeling the same way of, no, it's just me. I'm just having a hard time adjusting. But really knowing what signs to look for, you might be able to get help sooner than you would otherwise. And like I said, there's an 80% success rate in that treatment, which makes it just essential. So I'm going to walk you guys through a little bit of my story. And like I said, it's ugly and it's not easy, but again, it's important that I feel it's important to me that I be transparent with this, because I just want anybody who comes across this video or is watching now to know that you're not alone and that it's a very real thing. Let me start with when we got pregnant. Our son Theo was not a surprise. We wanted him. We were actively trying to get pregnant, and we were looking forward to growing our family. And a big misconception out there, is, oh, you'll get, you might get postpartum depression because you weren't ready for a child. You didn't want a child. We were ready. We wanted him, and we were so excited. So much so that if any of you guys follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm like crazy about like decor and things like that. I had his nursery locked and loaded when I was 3 months pregnant. Like, I'm talking, it was fully done, every single thing in its place, labels on the drawers. It was done. And because we were just so excited and ready. And sidebar, funny conversation with that is because I was staring at this nursery for so long during my pregnancy after it being completed, I ended up changing everything again. And so, but just to let you know, like, we were ready. Part of me started to worry a little bit that because we lived in New York at the time and our family and friends all lived back here in California, part of me started to wonder, could I be a good candidate for postpartum depression because I'm so far removed from my family? But I kind of let that thought linger for a moment, and then I pushed it out. I'm like, no, there's no way. Like, I'm strong, I'm tough. That's not going to happen to me. Thank you, Diana. I appreciate it. And so then I kept just thinking, it's going to be amazing. He's due in June. I'm going to be on maternity leave. We're going to be hanging out at the pool at our new apartment. We're going to be in the summer, New York. We're going to go out, walk the streets. It's going to be amazing. And I was just so excited. And I've had no history of depression. I consider myself a very emotionally sound person. For good or bad, I internalize my feelings a lot, and I'm not like a big sharer, but it's to me, I kind of say like, no, like, I'm good. I can handle things on my own. I don't need to share all the details of my day or any struggles I'm going with. I'm good. Like, so I've never really had any history of this, to indicate that this could be something that happens to me. And I want people to know that. It doesn't mean that you have to have a history with depression or mental health issues for you to develop this. It's not true. So the day he was born, everything changed. And looking back, I didn't realize that it all started as soon as I delivered. I had a very easy pregnancy. I loved being pregnant. I was active. I worked out literally until I think I was 8 months pregnant. Thank you, Elle Farrell. I appreciate it. I worked out because my husband, you guys know, is a boxer and he taught group fitness. I would do weights. Luckily, I was very fortunate to have a smooth pregnancy. I still worked all the way up until I delivered. I traveled to Europe for work when I was 7.5 months pregnant, walking 30,000 steps a day. Like, I was good. The delivery was also very easy, with the exception of they had me wait 2 hours for an epidural because there was such a long wait, which was like those contractions were hell on earth, but that's another story. But I pushed for 20 minutes and he was out. Like, everything was storybook. And I'm not saying that to make anybody else feel bad who had tough pregnancies or tough deliveries. I'm just saying, like, theoretically, when you look at everything, you wouldn't think that anything could go wrong. Everything was happening the way you would hope it would happen. And so I deliver him. And like I said, there was just something that switched. And they do, if you're familiar, they do what's called skin to skin right away, where they put the baby on your chest. It's to bond. It's to help identify the sense. And they do skin to skin with Theo. And something in me, I knew I was in shock because I had just delivered him, but I felt very numb. And I didn't feel the emotions I thought I should have been feeling. I didn't cry when I delivered him. I didn't feel this overwhelming sense of happiness. I just felt very numb. And I remember when the nurse came in to check on me during her rounds a few hours later before they took him to bathe him and do their whole thing, I was like, I have a question. I know this might sound really weird, but I feel almost like I'm kind of drunk right now. And that's how I described it. I was like, I feel like I'm in a fog. I feel like I'm numb, emotionless. Is that normal? And she said it could have just been the epidural still wearing off. Of course, my body being in shock, but something just didn't sit right with me. Our family, of course, flew in from California right away. And the next couple of days while I remained in the hospital, the environment was tough only because, we were in a shared room, which fine. Okay, we all get in shared rooms. The AC was broken in the room. It was New York, dead summer. It was hot. It was uncomfortable. There wasn't area for my husband to sleep or stay. So he stayed literally on the hospital bed with me. I don't know if it's just the hospital we were in. I believe it's many hospitals now. They, of course, encourage you to nurse and do as much skin to skin as possible. And they believe in the policy of baby in room, meaning they never take the baby to go to the nursery. So that baby is in room with you 24 hours a day. And you're like, holy shit, what do you mean? I don't know what to do. The baby's now here. How do I do all of this? And so it's very overwhelming. Part of me was thinking, okay, the reason I'm feeling overwhelmed is because of my circumstances. I'm in this room that is hot. It's the dead of summer. It's cramped. There's no AC. I'm sharing this bed with my husband. Our family hasn't arrived yet. The baby, they're not even taking the baby to the nursery to allow me to nap. I haven't slept for 48 hours. That's why I'm feeling this way. I just kept putting in my mind a reason for why I was feeling the way I was feeling. Thank you, Francine. I appreciate it. And soon we leave the hospital, we go home, and I start making more excuses for why I'm feeling that way. We had decided to move apartments because I'm just a psychopath. And we had moved apartments prior to me we had got a new apartment prior to me delivering. So we moved 2 days after I gave birth to Theo. Literally, we got home from the hospital. Our whole apartment was boxed up. We slept and we moved the next day. And so, which I don't know why I thought that was a good idea either. But anyways, I thought then again, the next day or two, as we're settling in our new place, this is why I'm feeling this way, because we've been doing so many different things. We haven't been able to establish a routine. That's the reason. Kept rationalizing it over and over. in those first few days and in that first week, I had a really hard time nursing. I had a hard time getting my son to latch. I had a hard time monitoring his weight and what he was actually taking. And it felt like he was nursing literally. I was hungry, like I couldn't figure it out. Meanwhile, you're going to all of your pediatrician appointments, checking in weekly, that's every few days, all these things. And he was losing weight. And I remember saying, should I put him on formula to get, like, I'm concerned he's losing weight. And if you have given birth anytime, I would imagine within the last 5 years, people put so much pressure on you to nurse. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comments right now in the chat. So mods, please get your wrenches ready. But it's like they look at you like you're a monster if you ever even suggest formula, where regardless the reason, not because you're just asking for the convenience of feeding, but if you're having trouble or you have concerns, they push it on you so hard. In the hospital, the pediatrician, it's like they won't even acknowledge the idea of you bringing formula up. And I understand it's because our body and our milk is the best nutrients for the child. I'm not saying that I don't understand that, but it's another added layer of pressure on you as a new mom. As you're going through recovery and doing all of that, it's like this added pressure of, no, you have to do this. You have to get it right. You need to get a lactation consultant. You need to get a doula. You need to do all of these things. And you're just like, I'm trying my best. I'm trying my fucking best. Sorry for cussing. But I remember feeling that. And I was saying, okay, but he's losing weight. What do you want me to do? You need to just keep trying. You need to keep trying. Thank you. Oh, Jonah, my sister's in here. My sister-in-law who just had a baby last May too. Hi, Jonah. And so I remember just being mad and being angry and resentful to everybody who I was coming into contact with, because I felt like I couldn't ask the questions that I wanted to ask without being judged. While all of that's happening too, you are recovering from giving birth to a human. And depending on what kind of delivery you had, whether it was a C-section, a natural birth, an easy delivery, that recovery is tough and it's ugly. And I'll let you know, like, it's, again, I'm going to get graphic. I don't even care. I ripped. I had 25 stitches. You have to literally wear a diaper for several days. You have to use a spray bottle every time you go to the bathroom, and it burns, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And so, like, while you're doing all of this, you have the guilt of not being able to feed your child. You have social media, looking at Instagram, seeing these super moms who bounced back to their original weight. You have slime and disgust all over. I mean, a million different things going on. And it's tough. It's really tough. As I was going through all of that and struggling to get him to nurse, I personally said, screw this. Like, I'm giving him formula. Like, I don't even care, because his health and my mental well-being is more important to me right now than trying to be super mom and be a milk machine that I clearly cannot be for him. So we're going to do this for now. And we did that. I got my pumping in order as we were doing that to supplement, and it ended up he was having a really poor reaction to my milk, long story short. So we ended up going with formula only, that we imported from the UK because they had better restrictions on their ingredients. So it was one of the healthiest options for him. But anyways, as all of this is going on, I felt, and I never shared this with my husband either, I felt very detached from Theo. I didn't feel like I was bonding with him. I felt guilty for that. I'm going to try to keep it together, guys, because I don't want this to be a cry fest. Sorry. But I didn't feel that feeling that all new moms say they feel, where they're so happy they want to spend every moment with their child. They want their child sleeping in the bassinet in their room with them. They can't stop staring at them. They don't even want to go to sleep because they're so infatuated with this child. I didn't feel any of that. I felt numb still, and I felt detached, and then I felt guilty because I felt like I wasn't not only bonding with my son, but that I wasn't going through the feelings that all these other moms and all my friends and everybody goes through. And so then I started thinking, oh, thank you, Vans. I started thinking, holy shit, I'm not a good mom. I shouldn't have done this. And immediately I started feeling a sense of almost regret. And I'm going to be honest with you, feeling like questioning myself. Did we have this baby too soon? We thought we were ready. Were we not? I don't think I can do this. I'm not feeling happy. I'm not feeling this attachment. I also, hi, my sister's in here. Hey, Amy. Started feeling just like almost resentment towards him. And I know that's so weird to say. And part of me, I had seen a lot of my friends around me who were struggling to have children, who had children with some health issues. So then I got even more mad at myself, being like, look, you have this beautiful, healthy baby. What the hell is wrong with you? Why aren't you happier? Why aren't you savoring every single moment? And it just continued to fester and fester. And when he would cry in the middle of the night or during the day, I would always hear stories from my friends and from other people saying that you feel this emotional pull in your heart to where, oh my God, you hear this baby cry, you have to get to them. You have to help him. I can't even sleep, this and that. You start like leaking, like all of this stuff when you hear these baby cries. And I never felt that. And I got mad at myself for that because, thank you, Alley Cat. I appreciate that. I would hear him cry, and it was almost as though I would feel more of a sense of burden than the need to get to him and the need to help him. And again, it was because I didn't bond with him yet. I didn't have that attachment. Part of me was angry, I think, too, and I don't know if the anger was at him, maybe, but like I was angry that the nursing didn't work out because I felt like that was a failure and that I failed him as a mom because I couldn't give him the best nutrients he needed. I couldn't be there for him. I couldn't have that bonding moment that they say is so important to be nursing and have that experience. I didn't have it, so I was mad. And it just continued to build. And I knew I loved him. I loved him so much. And I was happy he was there, but there was just like a very weird sense of detachment. And a little bit of regret and wondering, did I do the right thing? And holy shit, I think I jumped the gun here. And I still, at this point, when I was feeling this way, I didn't know that anything was wrong mentally. I thought that I'm just a really bad mom. I jumped the gun. I shouldn't have done this. And he deserves a better mom. That's what I kept thinking. Like, I didn't realize that it goes so much deeper. And I think that's something I just want people to know that, sorry guys, I'm really trying to keep it fucking together. I just want other people to know, if you're feeling that way, like it's not a reflection of you being a bad mom. It's something else that you can get help for and that will help you, because the thing everybody always says, and everybody's so quick to jump on, is, yeah, your hormones are crazy. You're feeling this whole different sort of way. Like they go up, they go down, and it's true. But like, even knowing that and hearing that, it wasn't sinking in that what it could be. And I just started crying all day, every day. I would cry at everything. I would go for a 5-minute walk outside by myself. I would be crying. Somebody would literally just ask me a simple question on the phone of, how are you doing? I would break down crying. Oh, sorry guys, my camera here. I was crying all day at everything, and to where I didn't even know what I was crying about anymore. It was just tears on tears and tears. And that's the part that I had thought, okay, maybe this is the hormones. Maybe I can't control my emotions this way. But I didn't associate the real sadness I was feeling with anything. I remember I had a conversation with my brother when I was going through all of this, and I had called him, and this was a few weeks in, maybe even a month in. And I had said, my brother is great for advice, and he's just an amazing person to talk to when you need advice on anything, business, personal, whatever it may be. And I remember calling him and saying, hey, I don't know what to do. I'm having a really hard time. I'm not attaching with him. I'm not bonding. I'm just really sad. And I remember he said to me, and I'll never forget this, he said, I think the only thing you can do at this point is really lean into it. Lean into being a mom, and almost that mentality of fake it till you make it. Like, lean into this new routine. It's not going anywhere. Nothing's going to change. So the more you try to resist it and push away, the worse it's going to be. You need to just lean into it with everything you have. And that stuck with me really hard. And so I was like, okay, you're right. So I put on my happy face. I put on the mentality of fake it till you make it. I'm going to be super mom, because if you build it, it will come. And that's going to be my approach. So I posted the rosy pictures all over Instagram, happy as could be, had my new son. He was my perfect little partner and everything. People would ask me how I was. I said I was fine. And I realized slowly that I was becoming everything that was triggering me and hurting me, because when I would see these influencers and mom bloggers and all this stuff that I would follow, seeing that they're on vacation, their babies sleep 8 hours a night, this and that, like I would compare my situation and myself to them constantly. So by me posting these fake pictures to people who follow me, I was doing the same thing. I was guilty of the exact same thing. And I didn't realize how sick that was for a while. So then we started doing formula, things started getting better, but you know that a baby doesn't sleep through the night until they're 3 months at the earliest, usually 3 months old. And so I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't happy. I still didn't know that something was mentally wrong. I was still crying, and it was just a mess. And the worst part about all of this is I was hiding it from everybody. I would cry on the phone with my family, of course, but I would say, I'm just stressed out with the routine, the new routine of it all, the pressure of it all, because I didn't know how severe it really was. Then in July, this was about 3 weeks after Theo was born. And as things were still going on, my whole family, we do a family trip to San Diego, Escondido, near San Diego every year. We've been doing that since I was tiny. And we, of course, Jeremiah and I couldn't go this year because I just had Theo, but our whole family was there. So one of the nights I called my mom while she was there, and they had just had family dinner, and I was talking with her and just crying again, like a crying mess. And she knew something was wrong. And in that moment, her mom instincts kicked in, and she knew that something was going on. And so she flew out to New York to help us. And she was going to stay with us for 1 week. And she was like, I'm going to just help you guys kind of get acclimated, give you some assistance, just help out like a mom helps out. She ended up staying for 3 weeks that first time, because she saw that I was having a tough time. And I slowly, as she was there helping out, we all know we lean on our parents to mother us and baby us if we ever need it. But I slowly started letting her take over what my role was with Theo. Thank you, Jessica. When I would do bath time with him every night, because he also was having really bad reflux and a little colicky, and bath, when I would bathe him, it was like the only thing that would kind of calm him down because of the warm water, and it helped. So we would do baths every night for him. So during bath time, I would stand with her. We had, the big sink in the kitchen. I would stand with her, help her with that, but I would be off to the side, and she would be bathing him and doing that. And I would kind of just be there watching, or almost like an assistant. Like I wasn't taking a hands-on approach in this. Same thing when it was time for diaper changes, like she would take the lead and she would do it. And it became more of her doing it than me doing it, not in a sense of her helping out, but almost I was just like letting her take the responsibility of everything. He was waking up still, 3 times throughout the night, and we didn't have a guest room there, and so she slept on the couch the whole time she was there. She's a saint. She would take all the night feedings. She would wake up with him, and that made me feel bad too, because while it was nice that I was sleeping and she was there to help out, I was like, I don't even have the desire to wake up in the middle of the night and go feed my son. My mom's doing it for me. The guilt and it was, it was guilt because I didn't feel guilty about it. That's what it was. I looked forward to her taking that on, and that's what made me feel guilty. And I look back, and some of our friends who were our neighbors would come over every few days. They lived in the building next to us, and we would order pizza. We would hang out. And when I started talking with them about this later, they had said to me, I remember when we would come over, we thought it, we didn't say anything, of course, but we thought it was weird because you would be sitting, hanging out with us in the living room, and your mom was doing all of it. She was feeding Theo. She was bathing Theo. She was putting Theo down. I was so hands off. And I think that just started making me detach more and more. So she ended up staying for 3 weeks because she saw that something was wrong. Even though I would cry here and there, the majority of the time I would go to take a shower at night before bed, and I would lock myself in there for 20 or 30 minutes, which normally I'm a very fast person who takes showers. I'm not kidding. I'm like in and out in 5 minutes. I've been that way for as long as I can remember. But I would take these like 20, 30-minute showers just sobbing. I would come out, turn on my happy face and say, all right, like I'm going to bed, like not telling anybody what was happening. Not telling my mom, not telling my husband. And then it finally kind of came to a head where there were a few times where I just was overly emotional and she knew something was wrong. And that is why she ended up extending her visit. So she helps us kind of build this routine, and she tells us, you're just still adjusting. You're a new mom. You are realizing that you're sacrificing your entire schedule and everything you want for this child who now is running the show, and it's just an adjustment. So I'm going to help you adjust to that. And so we built our new routines and all of these things. And it was okay. I after the 3 weeks, I was still sad and I still didn't feel that attachment, but I felt okay. I felt like I was managing the situation better. I felt like I was capable of managing it. And so she goes home and back to California. And this is now end of July. So we're about a month and a half in. And I'm checking the boxes. Like I have my schedule through the day. Okay, I'm going to spend this period of the time playing with him, doing tummy time. I'm going to spend this period of the time doing that. Like I was going through the motions of everything and still sad, but felt like, okay, I'm starting to get a grasp. Maybe it's going to start getting easier. So we end up having a friend of ours' birthday dinner out in the city that night. We lived in Brooklyn. The dinner was in the city. And we had decided a couple days before that, that we wanted to start enlisting the help of a night nurse, a baby nurse, saying, maybe we'll have a night nurse come in 2 or 3 nights out of the week so that we can get a solid stretch of sleep. My husband at this point was back to work. So, because he had a few weeks off, but he was now back to work, just so that we could get a little bit more assistance. So this woman who was highly recommended to us and referred to, a referral to us, we meet her before we go out to dinner this night, and she's amazing. She's an actual nurse. She tells us everything we want to hear. She empathizes with me, saying, I know exactly what you're going through. I want you to know that it's not uncommon. Like, you're doing all of the right things. Like, I felt when we left that night for dinner, I felt so calm and relaxed, just being like, he's in good hands. He is in good hands, and it's going to be okay. So we go out, we're at dinner, we come home early. I think we got home around 9:30 or 10, and we check in with her. She says everything was great, that he's down, he's asleep. She's on the couch watching TV. She also tells me how she always is the night shift at the hospital when she's working, so she never sleeps. So she's like, don't even worry. I probably won't even sleep tonight because night nurses, they do sleep and then they hear the baby and they get up. That's how it goes. She's like, I probably won't even sleep. But I have the monitor right here. But you guys go rest. I've got everything under control. And I was like, okay, breathe. So we go to sleep. Around 2:30, I hear Theo crying. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe she fell asleep and she's going to wake up right now. She hears him on the monitor. I can hear him all the way in my bedroom and my door's shut. She's out there, right there. Of course she's going to hear him. So I'm like, I don't want to be that helicopter mom. Let me give it a couple minutes. He keeps crying. So I wait maybe 5 minutes. He's still crying. I'm like, something's not right. So I get up and I go out to the living room, and I remember looking to my left, and she's on the couch, dead asleep. And he is at this point crying and screaming very loud. Anybody's normal instincts and my normal instincts up to this point and any other time would have been to be like, first of all, run and, go tend to my crying child, but also get up, get the fuck out of my house. Why are you asleep? This and that, whatever. that's when this is right before everything came to head. Things slowly started to just like unravel in my mind. And I don't know how else to describe it besides like, I think I might have had a mental break. And I don't say that lightly because I look to my left, I see her sleeping, I hear Theo crying, I freeze, I go back in my bedroom, I wake up my husband and I say, Theo's crying, she's asleep, I don't know what to do. And even saying that and going back to this moment right now in my mind, it's so weird to me because I've never been that person to be like, I don't know what to do, help me. Like, I'm a problem solver. I'm a problem solver in my career. Like I said in the beginning of this, I've always internalized things very well. I'm a strong person. Like, and in that moment I froze and was just like, I don't know what to do. I need you to help me. He jumps up from bed immediately. He goes, grabs Theo right away, gets a bottle and is feeding Theo, calms him down. Everything's fine. This whole time I'm like sitting in our bedroom by myself, just in the dark, like not going out there to check on them, not talking to this woman. Like, and I think back on it, I'm just like, what? Like, it's so unlike me. It is so out of character for me. And so he ends up telling the woman, like, you know, thank you. We've got it from here. We're awake now. It's like 3:30 at this point. Like, you can go home. He pays her for the full night anyways, obviously, because my husband's a saint and a good man. And she leaves and he offers to get her an Uber, like all this stuff. So she leaves. He puts Theo back to bed and he comes in and he's like, he's okay. She went. I was hyperventilating and that's never happened to me before. I couldn't breathe and I was shaking and I'm literally shaking right now thinking about it. Like the adrenaline that was going through me, I can't even describe what it felt like. Something I've never felt before and for no real reason. Like, I understand feeling that way if you witness somebody hurting your child or doing something like that. But there wasn't a concrete explanation as to why I was having this reaction that I was having, this physical reaction. And, you know, actually, now that I think about it, there's something I had forgot, which Jeremiah at the time told me that he believed this is why I was reacting that way. I had over the last few weeks prior to this, a couple of nightmares regarding Theo and me not tending to him. One was I was sitting on a park bench and he was swaddled and laying on the bench behind me and rolled out of the swaddle and onto the ground, and the police department came and the fire department came. And I remember when they turned him toward, and like, it's horrible and graphic. And when they turned him towards me, like his whole face was disfigured. And like, I was having these horrific nightmares leading up to this. And so Jeremiah's explanation was, you've been having these horrible night terrors of not tending to our child. And now you woke up in the middle of the night to somebody who you thought was going to be helping not tending to your child. Like, I understand why that would affect you this way. And so the sun starts coming up slowly after that. I wasn't able to obviously fall back asleep and neither was he. And he's like doing dishes, he makes coffee and he has work that day. And I remember moving out into the living room and laying on my couch. And we had an apartment that overlooked the East River with floor to ceiling windows. And I remember laying on that couch in the fetal position, holding my knees, frozen for, I want to say almost 2.5 hours, just staring out the window. Like, I couldn't talk. I couldn't move. I was frozen. And that's why I say I don't know how else to describe it other than I feel like I had a mental break, and it was the most bizarre thing that's ever happened to me. So Jeremiah is supposed to go to work that day. He trains clients, like I said, in boxing. And so I believe he was supposed to go to work around like 7. And he said, he's like, I'm going to cut the day short. I'm going to just do this one client. I'll be back by 10:30. Like, are you okay? And I was like, no. And I've never been codependent either. Like, let me just throw that out there. And I said to him, I was like, no, I can't, you can't leave me. You can't leave my side. I need to be with you. Like, I literally need to be latched onto your arm right now. And that was another really weird feeling for me. And he couldn't I forget what it was where he could not get out of it. And so we called our friend, Jess, and who, has an extensive history with childcare and children, and like the sweetest woman in the world. Her name's Jess Sims. She's also like one of the number one instructors in Peloton. So if you've seen her or taken her class, she has a heart of gold, and she's one of our dear friends, and she's amazing. She comes over and she's like, I was like, I'm going to work with you. Like, I can't be here. I can't be here alone with Theo. I can't be without you. I'm going to work with you. So we call her, and I also am not one to ever ask for help. That's just never really been in my DNA. And I'm not that I'm too proud. I just never, I internalize it. I take on the burden myself. That's it. And I had no problem calling. I called her. I even reached out to our friend Callie, who lived next door. And I was just like, can you guys please come watch him? Like, I have no shame in asking right now. Like, I can't be here. And Jess comes, and I go with Jeremiah to work. And I am like literally sitting on the ground while he's doing what he needs to do, because I just could not be away from him. It was just a weird feeling. Now, meanwhile, as all of this was happening, and as I was literally laying like catatonic on the couch, staring out the window, he was calling my sister. They let my mom know what was going on. My sister was going to fly out. My mom had just gotten home from her 3-week trip with us. And he's like, I don't want to worry you, but something's going on with Annie, and I'm really concerned. So as I'm sitting with him at work, my mom calls me, and my sister too, and I'm telling them what's happening. And I'm still at this point, hours later, it's now like 8 a.m. I'm like, still, my body is shaking. And my mom says, you need to call your doctor, and you need to get put on medication because something's going on. She's like, I suspected that you might be suffering from postpartum depression. When I was there, I wasn't entirely sure, but there's not a doubt in my mind now, and you need to call your doctor and have him call you in a prescription today. And so I called my doctor, and this was the doctor who delivered Theo, who worked at the same practice as my actual OB, who I had all my doctor visits with, but because he was the one who delivered Theo, he was now my doctor, but he didn't know me very well on a personal level. So I called him, and I said, I think I need to be put on antidepressants. I think I have postpartum depression. And he said, well, why do you think that? And again, waterworks just started. I just started crying for no reason. And I just said, I can't stop crying. I'm sad. I feel detached. And literally, it wasn't even like I had to sell this idea to my doctor or like convince him of how I was feeling, because within 5 seconds, he's like, I'm going to call it in for you right now. What's the pharmacy, like this and that. And then he's like, and we need to set up an appointment for you to come in so we can I can check on you and make sure physically everything's okay, like recovery wise, all of that. And so he calls it in. I go pick it up. We get back home. Jess leaves. We're there with Theo. And I remember feeling like Jeremiah was tending to Theo the whole day. And then towards the end of the day, towards the evening, we had to change his diaper again. And I remember saying to Jeremiah, I can do it. And it's so weird looking back, because of course you can do it. Of course you can change it. What are you talking about? But I remember having a sense of I'm going to do it, but can you stand with me while I do it? Because at that point, and I don't know if at that point I was scared that I was going to hurt him somehow, not because I had any desires to hurt him, but just if I thought he was so fragile. I don't know what my thought process was. So he stands with me, next to the changing table. I change Theo's diaper by myself, which I have done millions of times up until then. And it was I had a weird sense of accomplishment in that moment. I'm I did it by myself. And I called my mom, and I was like, I just changed his diaper. I did it by myself. I'm okay. It's this a weird proud moment where it's a milestone for some reason. And meanwhile, my mom was looking into flights to come back out, obviously, because she knew what was going on and that it was serious. And so he goes to bed that night. Things are okay. I start taking my medication. My mom gets back out there the following day, and she stays for another 3 weeks. So she was with us for a total of 6 weeks, helping us do everything, staying on the couch. I mean, helpful in the most amazing way, to where, and I tell her all the time, you're who taught me how to be a mom. And I don't know how I could have ever gone through it without her. And so anyways, I start taking the medication. A friend of ours had a postpartum doula that she recommended and paid for her. It's like so expensive. I like her, like she goes on like these yachts with these families and like an amazing woman and just like bougie New York money, like to get somebody like this. And like Jeremiah's client and a friend of ours, she's like, I paid for Diana to come. She's going to help you. Like she's coming to your house. And I started sharing with her what I was feeling. She was sharing some tips with me, helping me through all of this. And she recommended this treatment center in New York where they do like outpatient therapy. But she's like, it's really good for new moms. It's all about postpartum depression. Like you bring your child with you and it's all about like exercises with the babies, but you're with like-minded moms and you go through all this together. And then you have little breaks. It's like a whole day session. And then you have little breaks throughout the day where the staff takes care of the children and you have one-on-one therapy and this and that. And I was like, honestly, I will do anything and I will pay any amount of money to not feel the way I'm feeling right now. So I went and for a consultation and I told them how I was feeling. And I remember being so surprised because I thought in my mind, okay, they're going to tell me like I should come 3 days a week or whatever it is for this 8-hour day program. And like, I don't care how much it is because insurance doesn't cover it, of course. But like, I don't even care because I need help. And after evaluating me, she tells me, I really think that you need to do the inpatient therapy. And I was like, what? Like, no. Like, I'm not that far gone. I'm not doing inpatient therapy where it was like, honestly, I think it was like $1,300 a day. It was like, I was like, first of all, I can't afford that let me start there. But also like, I don't think it's that bad, you know? And, so they're like, think about it. Here's like all of like our literature on it. Like, let us know what you decide. And, I left and I went home and my mom was already there at that point. She was back. And so I talk with her, I talk with Jeremiah and I say like, I don't think I need this. Like, this seems really crazy. Like maybe I just sit with the medication for a few days, see how I'm feeling. And like, if it's still as bad, maybe then I explore, but like, I'm not about ready to commit myself. Again, no shame in doing something like that though, if you need to. And I still was open to it. I said, if I'm not feeling better, I will do that. And I remember my mom, just to rewind a little bit, one of the first things that made me realize that something was wrong is that day when she called me and said she was going to come back and told me that I need to call my doctor for the medication. She's like, I need to ask you a question, Annie, and I need you to be as honest as possible with me. I don't want you to be scared and I don't want you to think I'm going to judge you, but I need you to tell me the truth. It matters. I need you to tell me the truth right now. And she asked me, have you ever thought about hurting Theo? And I said, no, not in a million years. Not in a million years. I was like, I know that that's sometimes is a side effect and a symptom of postpartum depression. I have never felt that. I swear, hand to God, I've never felt that. She's like, okay. She's like, but I had to ask. And I was like, and when she asked me that too, I was like, the fact that people are realizing how sad I am and that they have to ask me if I've thought about hurting my child, something's wrong here. Something is wrong. And so anyways, the next few weeks while she's there and I'm on the medication and we're doing everything that we were previously with the routines, I started feeling so much better. And honestly, I felt better within 2 weeks of being on that. And I was on Prozac and it was a low dosage. I think it was only 10 milligrams. I think it started 20 and I felt very like numb and I didn't like the way I was feeling. I was also very tired. All the time. I was very tired and I like couldn't even keep my eyes open. So I called my doctor, had him adjust it. So then they moved me to 10 and that was like the magic dose. And so I started feeling better and my mom after 3 weeks went home and I was sad to see her leave just because of the routine we had built. And I had moved out when I was 18. And so this experience, it was really the first time since I was lived under her roof when I was a child that we've ever had this extended amount of time together. And so I was sad that was coming to an end, although I was grateful for it, but I felt emotionally better. And then I talked a little bit about it on social. I had taken a break from social media. I deleted my Instagram for like 3 months because I was like, I can't keep seeing these like happy moms, this and that. It's not real. So then after I was feeling good, I ended up coming back on Instagram like in September or something. And I shared my story. And like yesterday, I was flooded with messages of people who had experienced the exact same thing. And thank you for sharing your story. I wish that there wasn't such a stigma attached to it. All of these things. I started the prescription, I believe it was either end of July or early August. By October, I felt good enough. I felt good right like shortly after, within a few weeks. But by October, I was like, I'm only going to take it every couple days because I feel like I'm good. And then by end of October, I was done with it and I was 100%. During this time, I was like journaling a little bit and kind of writing my experience down, and something I was rereading it this morning on my computer, just like jogging my memory about how I felt in those moments. And one of the days, Jeremiah, when I was going through this, Jeremiah had said, on a scale of 1 to 100, where would you rate your happiness right now? And I had written down a 7. And it's like, I look back on that and I don't even remember feeling that way. I don't ever remember feeling sad. I remember crying, but I don't remember the feeling. I don't remember the feeling of detachment. I don't remember any of that. And people say, the baby blues, it's common. That's very, very different than postpartum depression. But if you are feeling sad, I would encourage you not to just assume it's the baby blues and to seek treatment or talk to somebody about it before it's too late. Because I mentioned in the very beginning, the statistics, 80% of people there's an 80% success rate for people who seek treatment. And I fall 100% within that category because I was off the medication within just a couple of months and felt great. And ever since then, I mean, anybody who knows me, who's in here or who follows me knows I'm like absurdly obsessed with Theo. And like, I just like squeeze him and I just kiss him and I just like love every single inch of his body. And like thinking about at one point feeling so detached, like I didn't even want to be around him. I can't even remember what that feeling felt like. And I've talked with people and I've talked with my therapist about, the idea of us having a second child, because a big part of me is not only wondering if I want to have a second child, period, but also a big part of me is scared to have a second because I don't want to ever go through this again. And she had said, what I would advise is that you get put on a very low dose while you're pregnant so that it hopefully hinders that from happening once you deliver. But then I think once you deliver, we need to have regular check-ins and we need to put you on something to make sure that that doesn't happen, because I think it's something like 40% of women who have experienced it before will experience it again on their next pregnancy. And so she's like, I don't even want you to mess around with that. So we're trying to figure out, still if we're going to have a second baby, not just because of that, but in general. But I guess the reason why I wanted to share this and be so candid about our story and my story is just because, again, there's this stigma attached to it to where you're feeling this way and you're feeling guilty and shameful in silence. And there shouldn't be any reason for that. And even if you aren't sure that what you're feeling is possibly postpartum depression, it might be, and it's worth talking about, because like me, I said, in the beginning, I thought that I was just a bad mom and that I wasn't cut out for this and that everybody else was better than I am, but it was something so much more. It went so much deeper than that. And so I hope more people feel comfortable talking about it and sharing their stories and realizing that there's nothing to be ashamed of, to feel guilty of. This happens to so many people. It is so common. And the best part is that it's just a moment in time and it's temporary for most people. So if you get treatment, you can get rid of it as quickly as for me, it was literally 2 weeks and I was feeling better. And had I known that, I wouldn't have suffered in silence for those several months, not knowing. I really hope people just start normalizing it a little bit more and talk about it and feel comfortable talking about it. And because even my friends that I would reach out to would tell me that they went through something similar. And I'm like, well, why the hell did you never tell me? Like, why? Like, I am sitting alone thinking that I'm the worst mother on the planet and that I'm crying for no reason. Like, why isn't anybody telling me these things? So again, I appreciate everybody sharing their stories last night and messaging me and sharing their stories here in the chat. I really hope that you guys, if you're watching this or if you come across this in the future, or if you're thinking about having a baby, I don't want anybody to ever feel like they're alone or that they're suffering with this by themselves. And I just hope more people talk about it for the mother's sake, the husband's sake, because remember, 50% of all men who have a partner that experience it will develop depression themselves. And my husband is a great example of that. He talks about that all the time. There just needs to not be a stigma with this. Like it's so common that it needs to be talked about because it can be so detrimental and it can be so dangerous if it's not talked about. And yesterday is a perfect example of that, of how dangerous something like this can become if it goes untreated and if it's behind closed doors. We need to normalize this and make it okay to talk about and make people feel okay to share their stories without feeling ashamed or feel guilty. I look back on how I was feeling and things that I said and things I felt, all the way down to not wanting to tend to my own child when they're crying. And like, I'm not proud to say that at all. It's embarrassing. And I know there's people who have, I'm sure, dealt with much worse thoughts. And if you feel that way or you think that way, it's just, you can't take that burden on alone because it's not going to get you anywhere and it's just going to be dangerous. So, that's really all I had to say, guys. I want to thank you again so much for yesterday, for all of you guys helping out with us, finding our friend Kara. Like I said, she is safe and she is with her family now. And I can't begin to thank you enough for how much of you guys came together yesterday and really, as a community, just did amazing things. Thank you so much. And my son now, I saw a couple questions in here. He is 18 months. Actually, technically, he is 19 months as of the 15th. And amazing, healthy, happy. Our family is amazing, healthy, and happy. We are obsessed with him. I can't even begin to tell you, like, I'm taking pictures and videos of him every second. Luckily, thank you, that girl, I love you. When he's at his school, they have cameras. So I'm like literally like a psychopath. Like I'm just obsessed with this little guy. He's like my whole world. And that's how it should be for everybody. And I want everybody to feel that way. And if you're not feeling that way, there's so many different avenues for help. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to your partner or your family or friend, message me, email me, message me on Instagram. I'll talk to you about it. I'll share with you anything I possibly can, because there's nothing to be ashamed of at all. I think that's it. I encourage you to remember this video. So if you yourself ever go through something similar or a friend of yours, let's just spread the word and hopefully normalize this so more people talk about it so that we don't get into a situation similar to yesterday or far worse. It can be prevented by conversation. If you can prevent something like that, something so tragic, by simple conversation, why wouldn't we do it? Right? We're now becoming a country and a world where we're talking about so many important issues. This is one more that we need to layer on top of that. We need to talk about it so that it's not silent anymore. All right, guys, I will let you guys know. I know there's a lot of comments going on here regarding the West Boys case and AV Watchman. Yes, I'm emailing him right after this. I also have been in touch with Nora Jasmine. I'm going to give her a call today. So as soon as there's updates that I can share with you guys in regards to that case, I will let you know. That's a little bit different, obviously, than what we're talking about today. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that so much. And until we talk again, I just want to thank you guys again so much. And thank you for letting me share with you. I apologize for getting so emotional there in the middle of it. And we'll talk soon. All right, guys, have a great rest of your Monday and a fantastic week. And I will see you soon. Bye.